Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to live chat on Saturday, not Sunday. And I'm so happy to have the awesome Carl from Please Read Your Book with me. It's an awesome channel, and it's a very, very interesting booktuber we're talking about here, who has traveled all over the world teaching. And at the moment, he's living in Shanghai, in China. And yeah, I love watching his channel. He loves horror and crime. Yeah, he's got a lot of insight into books. It reads very different kinds of books. And hello, Vanessa. We can talk to you now. And how are you doing, Carl? Tell us a bit about yourself, your reading, your background.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for inviting me on the show. It's pretty cool to be here. You're my first YouTube live stream, so it's a
Awesome.
badge of honor for you. So, um, yeah. So talking about reading, talking about horror. I'm not the hugest horror reader. I'm not as big of a horror reader as you are, but I certainly love horror. I think it was probably the first like genre of writing or genre of reading that I really, really, really got into when I was young. So I've always had a special place for it. I do kind of dip in and out of it from
What
time
kind
to
of books
time. Like,
did you read?
go ahead.
What kind of books when you were young? What kind of books did you read when you were young?
I really got into Stephen King at an age.
Really?
I was probably a little too young to be reading Stephen King, but I really got into Stephen King. I think the first Stephen King I remember reading was what was it? The Cycle of the Wolf.
Cycle of the Werewolf? Yeah.
Like, yeah. I remember
Cycle
reading
of the
that,
Werewolf,
and
yeah.
then The Body, which was it Different Seasons?
Yeah, different seasons, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was
Okay, Stand By Me. Stand By Me. Yeah, I
yeah.
know.
That's what sparked my interest in it because my parents wouldn't let me see Stand by Me, so I read the book instead. So, but yeah, I was really into
Uh,
Stephen
we,
King,
I think
and
I
then
think we've lost each other there. Okay, now we're back.
okay, okay,
Keep going.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was really into Stephen King at a pretty young age, and then I got into Clive Barker
Yeah.
from there, and I really loved Clive Barker, but I think I was probably a little too young to really like fully appreciate it, especially Clive Barker because he's a
Yeah.
lot darker than Stephen King.
Yeah. A lot of
So
body horror. A lot of body horror. And
yeah,
yeah.
yep, yeah. I remember reading The Damnation Game, and it was genuinely disturbing at the age that I read it at. So, but it was good, and like the Hellbound Heart, and again, a lot of it was spurred on because of like movies that I couldn't see but I knew about, but I would
Okay.
find the stories and books that they were coming from. So
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, that's yeah. And then from there, I mean, I've always kind of liked horror, and I always have kind of gone in and out of it. It's always been the genre that when I'm bored with things or whatever, it's what I'll go to. So
Oh, awesome. And tell me about your life in Shanghai. I find that very fascinating. As an ex-teacher,
hmm,
someone who taught for 27 years of my life, and I actually did a teaching English as a second language course, and I did a bit of
hmm,
adult education,
hmm.
with immigrants. And tell me about your life there. I think that's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. So I came to China just this year. I arrived in August, and I've been teaching in a what's called a bilingual school here. The education system in China is heavily regulated by the government,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's difficult. It's difficult for schools to teach an international curriculum. So what they've kind of done is created this like hybrid program. They call it bilingual. So English is the predominant language of instruction, and we teach a mainstream American curriculum. Um, so I came here in August. So I haven't really been here for that long. I live in the southern part of Shanghai,
Yeah.
and like I was telling you before we started,
You
Shanghai
told
is
me
just massive. I can't get my head around how big this city is. So from where I live to the center of the city, if I take a train, it's about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour.
that's
If
insane.
if I take a car, like if I take a taxi or they have their own version of Uber here, it's between an hour to an hour and a half, and that's almost all freeway. It's just
That is
it's so huge. Yeah, it's just massive. But
that,
having said that, it's not. it's actually a really nice city. It's really well planned. It's very modern. There's lots of built-in green spaces and parks. They'll leave marshlands, some marshlands alone. I mean, obviously not everything, but it's actually a really pleasant city. There's tons of parks. These like huge parks. I think this is definitely part of Chinese culture. And then as they've tried to plan the newer cities, they do build in green spaces to make it more livable. So like where I live, just 5-minute walk from my apartment, there's this huge eco park that I get to walk through every weekend. So it's really nice.
Awesome.
So,
Let me interrupt you just for a second. Let's say hello to a few people.
Cool.
Hello, Vanessa.
Hello.
Hello, Vanessa. I'm feeling a lot better, thank you. I think it was maybe a 24-hour or 48-hour virus, but yeah, no, I'm a lot better now.
Cool.
And then here we got. Literally.
All right. Cool. Hello.
And then here is Bad. Hello, my friend.
All right. Hello. Hello.
And then guess who? It's my wife.
All right. You're number one fan, right?
My number one fan, yeah.
Cool.
Okay. And guys, I encourage you, if you've got questions for Carl about living in China, just the cultural thing, anything you want to ask about, feel free to ask him. And we don't have to only talk about horror every single time on this channel. I think this is a very excellent opportunity to learn something different. So yeah, if you want to ask something, just go ahead. So it'll be awesome. And so yeah, Carl, anything else you want to tell us about any interesting stories, anything you've experienced that would shock us since you've been living in Shanghai?
Yeah, well, one
thing we would not be used to.
Something that you would not be used to.
Your people, like Western culture, something that's completely different.
Well, actually, the thing that has surprised me the most is how normal everything is. I've lived in Thailand, I've lived in Vietnam, I've lived in Saudi Arabia, and now China. And I mean, I guess it's this thing that's probably specific to Shanghai. It's a very modern city. It's a very normal place. Everything is just really, really normal. I'm really blown away. I was really surprised. Like one of the first days of classes I had, asking students like what kind of books they read. You know, they love Harry Potter, The Maze Runner, like all this like really normal stuff. And you're like, oh, because we always have this perception that China's closed off from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But it's really not that way at all. Yeah. So I don't really have any weird like exotic stories. I'm sorry to disappoint. So
no,
it's very
I don't
normal.
mean weird exotic in a negative sense. I don't mean weird exotic in a negative sense at all. I don't mean that. I mean that kind of something that's just different. Maybe some mannerisms or something that you wouldn't be expected to.
Sure.
Some way you behave that's kind of accepted. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that has surprised me is how people just kind of leave you alone. Yeah. There's not a lot of like foreigners in China right now, especially after COVID. So it's not unusual, like if I'm on the train or something like that, it's not unusual for me to be the only Western person, the only non-Chinese person. And you'd think that everyone would kind of stare at you or look at you or things like that, but people just ignore you and just kind of leave you alone. So that's very different from other countries that I've been in. So
then let's get to the horror.
Yes, let's do that.
You said to me that you had a couple of books to show me, or some of the. I know that you've been talking about. Let's just be honest here. I know you talk about crime more often than any other genre on your channel, and I've seen some great recommendations. But you did say that you have got 4 books or something to show me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're on my Kindle. I don't have the so I can't really show the covers. But I had a couple questions of books if you've heard of any of these. let me open up my Kindle reader. So yeah, one book, I think I asked you about this on Discord, is a book called God's Demon. Have you heard of this book?
What's Demon?
God's Demon by Wayne Barlow.
Didn't you want to do a buddy read with me?
Yeah, I think I asked you this before. Yeah, it's been kind of described to me as like Hellraiser 2.0.
Okay.
But all told from the perspective of demons who live in hell.
Oh, so it's very much a kind of a literal hell, right?
Literally in hell. Yes, literally.
And from what I read, I remember from what I read of the blurb, it's about a demon that wants to rebel against Satan and wants to leave hell. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the blurb that I read too. So, but this book looked very fascinating, and I'm wondering if you have read similar books like that are kind of a mix of fantasy and horror.
I've read a lot of books like that, and in fact, my favorite, we were talking about him earlier, my favorite author besides Stephen King, Clive Barker. He does a lot of dark fantasy, like Weevils and Magica. And it's dark fantasy, but there are a lot of horror elements in those books. You know, kind of if you know Damnation Game, you know the way that he writes, the Books of Blood, you find a lot of those elements in his dark fantasy as well. To the point that some people will say these are horror, but they're not. They're dark fantasy. They're very much a hybrid. Yeah. And actually, if I was going to recommend you books along those lines, it would be Clive Barker.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Because that's kind of a genre of or subgenre of horror that really interests me. And part of what interests me too is like I read The Black Farm. I think you've talked about that book.
Yeah,
a few times.
Bad, we both did a video on that. Bad is watching us right now. It was an awesome book. We had a good buddy read with that.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I was a little disappointed. I thought the premise amazing, the concept behind the book amazing. It just felt like it needed a rewrite.
Yeah, I saw that on Goodreads. A lot of people complained about all the errors and this, but
not so much in the errors, but I just felt like there was a lot of stuff that could have been really developed and really been much more, could have been very interesting elements in the story. It's very fast paced, which is good. But at the same time, it's such a far out concept that I think it's worth like slowing down and like exploring a little bit and figuring out, what's going on. It reads almost like a video game where it's just like, where it's kind of like this run through, you know what I mean?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I thought the world building was absolutely phenomenal. Okay, maybe it's not a Clive Barker, but I thought it was just the concept and the world itself was so interesting.
That's what I mean. I was just hungry for more.
Yeah. Perhaps you're right. No, I found the second one not as good as the first. There's a follow-up, Return to the Black Farm. But I'm sure Bad will have lots to say to you about that as well. So let's just go through the comments.
Yeah, sure.
She loved it. That was her book of the year. So
wow.
Coffee, be right back. That's amazing. I've only been Texas for me, but someday I would like to try. Okay. Sounds like an interesting concept for a book. I think she's talking about the hell, the demon in hell. Yeah. Oh, sorry, missed one. I'm currently reading Blood Meridian, and it's very interesting. Hellraiser 2. Sounds great. Yeah, I've heard Blood Meridian is a bit like, it's Cormac McCarthy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very, very powerful novel. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Vanessa says, I've never read a Clive Barker. Which one do you recommend I start with?
Ooh.
I'm going to let you answer this question.
I would go with Hellbound Heart. That would be, I think, if you're only going to read one Clive Barker, that's the one I think to read. the Hellbound Heart?
I would start with the Books of Blood.
Okay.
But it could be either one. But look, the Books of Blood is short stories, but
Yeah.
they are. I think it's by far his best work, or very close to his best work.
I think I've only read one.
Yeah, sorry.
I think I've only read one volume of those.
Yeah, I read all
How many?
Six.
There's 6 volumes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, but the Hellbound Heart's very good, and it's nice and short novella. It's actually very good.
Yeah.
And if you're going for something that's a hybrid of dark fantasy and horror, I would go with Weevil. That's in my top 3 novels of all time. That's how much I love that book.
Yeah, I remember reading that. That is a pretty amazing novel.
Yeah.
That's a really amazing story.
Yeah. And I can see what you mean by world building with the what do you call it, the Black Fawn? Because I suppose if you compare that story to something like Weevil, you're right. They could have gone into so much more detail with that. It's just the whole feel of that place, how depressing it is. And some of the creations. I remember those big, what are they called? Seekers that patrol the island.
Yeah.
That terrified the crap out of me.
Yeah, that was one of those. Yeah, that was one of the things. Was like I really wanted more. I wanted to know like what is going on there. Like what are these things, and why is all this stuff happening? It's not a bad book, especially for an extreme horror novel. I think it's probably one of the better ones of that genre.
And freaking disturbing. Very disturbing.
Yeah, definitely very disturbing. But there's a lot of stuff too. I felt like it just ran through it so fast. I mean, there's probably some things we can't talk about in this live stream in the book, but there were some things where I thought like there were some moments that some things the characters went through that should have impacted the character more.
Yeah, perhaps.
And it was sort of like, okay, well that's over, so now we're doing this next thing, and it was like, wait, what happened? So
yeah. No, I hear your points, but to be honest, when I went into it, I didn't know what to expect, and I had a good time. Look, I only gave it 4 stars. Unlike Bad, who absolutely loved it. I gave it 4 stars, but it was I thought it was very, very imaginative.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So dark, so disturbing.
Yep.
You've got to give it
definitely a very unique. I mean, totally unique book. Definitely worth points for that. I just, like I said, I just felt like I wanted more depth to it. So,
yeah.
But speaking of like depth, did you read The Cipher yet by Kathy Kocher?
I read this year. I read it this month.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I thought that was very, very interesting. I actually did a review on one of my videos.
I thought I had seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was fascinating. And it's not the kind of book, and I said this in my review, it's not the kind of book that you read to enjoy in the normal sense. It's not like a kind of book that you read because it's such a fun book and it's got a fun ending. It's a book you freaking experience. It's a book you freaking, it's a mind trip. And I can understand that a lot of people do not like that book, and I can understand why. And also just the writing lends itself. It's beautiful writing, but it's all from the perspective of that Clark, right, at the video store.
Yeah.
And as the book carries on, without giving any spoilers away, it becomes disorientating. The writing, it's like weird sort of stream of consciousness, disorientating. But I loved it. I was there for the experience. I mean, and hateful characters, just
terrible people.
And the setting, everything grungy, like 90s. And the main characters, that sort of that woman, wow, hate her, despise her. But anyway, it's like that guy lives in this dingy apartment that I think of when I was at university. When you start off at university in like first year, or you find yourself in a house where everyone is smoking stuff you shouldn't do, drinking and drugs and all, and ashtrays overflowing and food in the kitchen all over the place, and just like that mess.
the sofa you don't want to sit on, you know.
Yeah.
You're like, "Ugh."
Funny marks on the sofa that are like,
yeah. What is that? Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a great book. I really liked it because it's cool that you brought that up. To me, it like really evoked that time
Yeah.
in the early '90s when there were places like that, you know. So and I think we all at that time we all knew people who were like artists living the art life, you know. And it's like you're not an artist, you're just down and out basically. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a great book. She's a amazing writer, I think.
No, incredible prose.
Yeah.
I was very close to giving it 5 stars. I'll tell you why I didn't. Actually, I don't want to give.
Uh-oh, what happened?
I don't know what's going on here with us. Our faces keep disappearing.
No, it just kind of like paused for a minute there, but okay.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
What were we saying? You almost gave it 5 stars?
Just the ending, and I'm not going to talk about it. I just
Okay.
wanted to know. It's like you said with the Black Farmer. I wanted to know more.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I'm not going to say anything else. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
You know, like,
Yeah.
And
have
it's
you
just
read?
Like, I want to know more.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. She made some strange choices at the end of the book, but
yeah,
you know, but it's definitely. Have you read Bad Brains by Kathy Koja?
I haven't. That's the first Kathy Koja I've read. Won't be the last.
Yeah, Bad Brains is her second book, so it's right after The Cipher, and that is an absolute mind trip of a book. If you enjoyed the psychedelic elements of Cipher, you'll really like Bad Brains. It's like it's hard to explain. It's like what? I did a video on it. It took like 20 minutes to explain the book, but it's this guy. He suffers a head injury. He's a failed painter who's obsessed with his he's obsessed with his ex-wife, and his ex-wife is just like a terrible person. But he has this like brain injury, and then he goes through maybe 2 or 3 months in the hospital of like constant seizures and blackouts.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it all stops, and they let him out of the hospital. And about a week later, he starts to have these weird hallucinations where he's seeing this like silver fluid like in his peripheral vision, and it slowly like takes over his entire like vision, and then it appears on his paintings.
Wow.
And other people are seeing it on his paintings. I won't give away anymore. It's like a real mind trip of a novel.
Yeah. And I actually said in my review, look, with Kathy Koja, I think if you like Clive Barker, and you like a bit of body horror and grotesque stuff, grotesque imagery, then you're going to like this author. With Cipher, there's a lot of body horror, a lot of weird stuff happening. I'll look that up. Thanks for the rec, because
it's definitely a great book. She's a really good writer.
She's a very good writer. That was a bit of a mind trip.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just quickly see what we got here. Currently reading Blood Meridian. Okay, we've got there. I've never read a Clive Barker. Oh, sorry, I'm a little bit. Hey, cats. Nice
Hello.
to see you. Yes, he's coming on my video soon. And then, Bad Brain sounds good.
Definitely a great book.
Vanessa, if you've read, you must read, I think, Cipher first. If you haven't read it, nice place to start with it. But I'm definitely from that author.
Yeah, she's quite prolific too. She's got a lot of books out, so she's worth looking at. So, I wanted to ask you too. Have you read Adam? I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Adam Neville.
Adam Neville.
Yeah.
I have a book ready and going for next month. It's actually my last book. It wasn't. It was The Ritual.
The Ritual. Oh, that's a great book.
The Ritual. Yeah. And the reason I'm reading this author is because of Michael Wurtenberg. I don't know if you know his channel.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of his favorites. So he did I think he did 3 episodes of Interview with the Author. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, cool.
I don't know anything about it, but that's going to be my first item level.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, he's a really great horror writer, and he's one of those writers that really, like Clive Barker, like Stephen King, like Kathy Koja, where he's able to really like raise the genre. Yeah. And really, it's not just horror; it's actually really good storytelling and really good writing.
Yeah. Yeah, I've just discovered an author that I really like. Although I think it's a lot of people would consider him maybe a bit too YA, but I just think he's brilliant. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and that's Chad Lutzke, the indie writer.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
I've mentioned him a number of times, but a lot of these stories are more kind of a blend of coming of age and horror. So don't go in there expecting perhaps. Although he did write a splatter western, I really enjoyed.
A splatter western.
Splatter western, yeah, that's an extreme horror western, right? Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Have you never heard of that? Have you never heard of that? Have you not heard of splatter western?
No, but I mean, it makes total sense. So I'm sure the Old West was splatterful. So.
Chad Lutzke. One or 2 of his books have just shot into my favorites. Very, very
cool.
talented storyteller. But horror with heart, they call him. I like a little bit light on the horror, sort of horror with heart, coming of age. So maybe I wouldn't say it elevates the game, but yeah, that's a recent author that I really enjoy.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'll check him out. Yeah. I know that name from somewhere.
Yeah.
I must have heard of him from someone else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So what have we got here? Should we have a look here? I will get Cypher too.
Cypher, nice.
Carl, have you read Skin? A friend of mine.
No, but I just bought it. So.
By which author?
It's Kathy Koja.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's her 3rd book.
Okay. No, the Cypher's got me interested. I'm going to read more of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Okay, what is this next one? Kat is saying, I have The Vessel. I haven't read it yet. I've seen the Ritual movie, which I think is based on a novel book.
Yeah.
I've got the Ritual. I'm reading it next month.
Cool.
So it's about time that I read. I mentioned him on my last haul, I think. Adam Neville. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's very, very good and quite prolific too. I think he's got about 10 books out so far.
Yeah.
So he's really good. I think you would really like him. He's really, really good.
So do you have any other recommendations for me?
Let me scroll through my thing. Oh yeah, there's another author I wanted to ask if you've read. Have you ever read Tanith Lee? Have you ever heard of her?
Isn't she a fantasy author? Tanith Lee.
Yeah, but it's definitely got horror elements. Like she has a series of vampire novels, and she has some very like horror fantasy, very similar to Weave World, actually, which we have talked about.
What has she actually written?
I was looking at this. She has a series called The Secret Books of Paradise, which are very, very similar to Weave World, and some people say that they may have actually influenced Clive Barker quite a bit, because she was writing in the 70s into the 80s. So, and also a British author like Clive Barker. So there must be some influence there in a good way. I mean Clive Barker.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely look up. I've never heard of it. So
yeah, I think there's 6. I only have 1 so far. I think there's 6 in this series of the Books of Paradise. And it's kind of like she creates this whole like alternative version of Paris in I want to say it's the early 19th century.
Okay.
if I get that right. And there's all kinds of like fantastical beasts and vampires and weird stuff going on. And it's
a
this,
very urban, yeah.
yeah, it's really, really good. It's really definitely worth checking out. So
Yeah, sounds like a real urban fantasy kind of thing.
yeah,
And
kind of.
werewolves and vampires, and as
Yeah.
long as it's nothing like a lot of the urban fantasies that come out these days, where the romance plot.
No, it's not.
As long as it's not that. No.
No, it's more of like lore and kind of like new mythology kind of stuff. So
Okay.
it's pretty cool stuff actually. So and she's an excellent writer. So.
Okay. Well, I should actually be taking some notes from you here, because I'm not writing.
I can send them to you on Discord too if you want. So.
Oh yeah. You actually do that, yeah. But I have this habit after doing a live, after doing a chat, I close up and then I go to the TV and I watch the whole thing again.
Oh, okay. Take notes.
Yeah, I can take notes in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
What's
cool.
This one? I really enjoyed Neville's The Ritual and The Reddening. Oh yeah, I've heard The Reddening one. I have all of these other books on my TBR. The Master Storyteller does an excellent job of evoking horror in atmospheric settings.
Okay, well there you go. She's got great taste in books too. So
yes, she does.
Yeah.
Cole, what is your favorite horror trope? And do you read other genres besides horror? So please share. There we go.
Ooh, favorite horror trope. I think my favorite horror trope is the occult investigation. Is my favorite. And I probably got that from reading Hellraiser at a very young age, where there's that sort of investigative element where they're trying to figure out about the puzzle box and what's going on there. So yeah, I think that's probably my favorite horror trope. And also like H.P. Lovecraft stories, there's always tons of investigation going on. So other genres I read, I read a lot of crime fiction. A bit of fantasy. If I read fantasy, it's usually a comic. I like a lot of manga, like grim dark manga, things like Berserk. A little bit of science fiction, but not so much anymore. And then just like a lot of literary fiction. So.
Okay. When you said investigative, sort of occult investigation, I think it was last year I read a couple of books. I think it was not buddy reads. It might have been a buddy read with NJ. I'm trying to remember what it is now. An occult detective. Remember, I think in October there was an event called Occult Detective October. Now
I remember that.
I cannot remember for the life of me. You might have to go to Discord and just check in October last year. Occult Detective. There's a couple of books we read there that I highly recommend. So if you enjoy that subgenre, if you enjoy that trope, just read them. I cannot remember what it's called. I know the one that I really liked was turned into a movie. I think it's Falling Angel. Yeah, it's the name of the book, Falling Angel. And it was with Mickey Rourke. Black Angel. What was it called? The movie.
Angel Heart.
Angel Heart.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that is very good book and very good movie too. Yeah.
Oh, so you read the book as well? Yeah. So that was the one, but there's another one as well that I read, which actually is a lot more kind of set up like almost like an adventure book. Very, very old, but there's a lot of occult detecting and it's a lot of fun. So see if you can find that book from the Discord. And I must say, I'm actually going to recommend a few books for you.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Michael Slade?
I don't think so.
Okay. And this is part of the Triple X series. It's a whole series of crime novels. But very, very, very horrific crime novels. And this book is called Headhunter.
You're going to get a strike against your channel for doing this.
Sorry? No,
you're going to get a strike against your channel.
It's a book, okay? And another one is called...
Was that? It's Michael Slade? Wait, no, bring that one back. Bring that back. What is this? What is this about here?
Headhunter.
I mean, we can kind of guess what it's about.
Not a serial killer goes around, kills women and chops their heads off and puts them on stakes. Okay, it's a bit more than that, obviously.
Because it looks quite sizable. Like, how many pages of that can you get?
This is actually let's see here.
About 300 pages or something.
It's pretty big. It's about 450, 460 pages.
Wow, that's a lot of headhunting. That's
yeah, but it's. I think you'll like it because there's a lot of. Michael Slade was actually made up of 3 different authors from Canada, and they were all experts in forensics, and they were lawyers, and they were all experts in not just forensic, I can't remember, but into criminal investigation and investigating high-profile crimes. So a lot of the work that they do in the book, so a lot of the kind of detecting and everything else is very, very true to how it should be. And it's very thorough. But it's the crimes themselves are full of horror, and it's often a supernatural element that's thrown in there. There's another one of these that I actually like called Ghoul. I've got 3 of them, which I've talked about on my channel. And yeah, I would recommend you look them up. I think you'll really like them.
Okay.
Another one that I think you have read, I've got about 40 in my shelves. And that is Ed McBain, 87th Precinct.
Yep. Which one is that? The Pusher. Yeah, that's a big one.
That's a good one. Very good one.
Yep.
And I like this because also the police procedural is very spot on.
Okay.
The way that he writes. Yeah. So I think I like it. Yeah. I
mean, I'm not a huge police procedural fan. I prefer it when it's the other way. I want to know about the crime life. I want to know about the criminals planning the crimes and pulling off the crimes. To me, that's always much more fascinating. But maybe that says something about me. But
no, nothing wrong with that. So I mean, but then serial killers and stuff like that. What is your interest in that?
No, I prefer things like hitmen, like mafia stories. Even just like small criminals. Like, have you ever read Jim Thompson?
I just bought a Jim Thompson book on my Kindle called The Devil Inside.
Yes, that's a great one. That's a great one. He writes about most of his stories are set in like small towns in the South about 2-bit criminals that are not very smart, not very good at what they do, but very bad people. So it's a different thing. So actually, there's a great writer though. If you like Ed McBain, but you want something a little different, check out S.A. Cosby.
S.A. Cosby. I've heard that name on BookTube. That name on BookTube. Isn't there one? The cover is like this road. What is it called?
That's Blacktop Wasteland. Yep.
Have you read that?
Yeah, it's great. I think I did a review on that. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's great.
Is that a horror or is it a crime? Where does it fit?
No, they're crime books, but they're told from the point of view, generally told from the point of view of the criminals.
Yeah.
Who are good people, but they need to commit crime for some reason. You know, they need to steal money or something like that. But it's told with the level of craft as Ed McBain. But it's kind of flipped around from the point of view of the criminal underworld instead of the police world.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. So
yeah. So you prefer the perspective of the criminal as opposed to the police procedure?
Yeah, to me that's always much more fascinating.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what we got here.
Yeah, what else have we got there?
Now let's look at the comments first. Cole. What's this, Cole? Oh, cool. I thought it said cold for a second.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. And then, Cole, have you read any of Junji Ito's manga?
Yes, absolutely the best. For horror manga, Junji Ito is amazing. One of my favorites. Especially like, Tom, do you read any manga at all? I don't think you do.
I can't get it yet.
You can get it on your Kindle.
Yeah,
you can get it on your Kindle.
So I want to get graphic novels on my Kindle. Really? What is the point of a screen where I have got graphic novels.
Well, actually, manga is meant to be read on that size of because the books are usually published on that size of paper.
Okay.
So it is meant to be read like that, and they're always going to be black and white, so that you can it actually does work quite well on a Kindle, so or on any tablet. So, but Junji Ito is some really like great horror.
Is that
especially
the one that
like
spirals or something? Is that the spiral?
Yeah, that's Uzumaki. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's really,
yeah. Yeah, it's like this like sort of cosmic horror and body horror together. It's really, really good stuff.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm learning it. When I rewatch this whole thing, I'm gonna take notes. Okay.
Cool.
What do we watch? 300 pages of head chopping. Oh wait.
I think it's your headhunter there.
I have headhunter on my TBR. I didn't know anything about it. Sounds interesting. Cat's Novels Adventure says 300 pages of head chopping.
Award-winning head chopping.
Oh, that's very good. Carl, have you ever read a horror book that scared you?
Oh yeah, I read it when I was young. That was weird and scary. Definitely. How old was I when I read that? I was too young to read that book when I read it.
I read it when I was 14. It was my first horror book.
Yeah, I think I was maybe 12.
That's a bit young.
I was too young, and there were things in there. Things in there I should not have read, but that's
I was reading Narnia at 11, 12. What are you doing reading Stephen King?
Like I said, it started with The Cycle of the Wolf, and it just spiraled down from there. So.
Oh no, shame. No, I think Shining for me is Stephen King's scariest novel, to be honest.
Yeah, that's scary. I remember too. I read.
There's horror, and then there's scary. The Shining, even though it's not his best novel, I find it his most terrifying novel.
Yeah, it is. It's scary. It's that the perception of reality starts to get warped in the characters.
Yeah, but
to me, that's always like scary.
Yeah, that's the father, and how he basically is trying his best, and just ex-alcoholic or alcoholic. And then he just turns on his family and turns freaking terrifying. It's just how he integrates, how he goes mad and turns on his family. If that's not terrifying, nothing is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true terror.
And then, of course, just with the hotel and everything else, it just adds layers to it. It's very terrifying. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
What have you got here?
Oh, Razorblade Tears. Yep. Oh, what happened?
Good things about it. These are images. There are images from Uzumaki that still haunt me today. Okay, I'm going to stop being a wuss, and I'm going to get it on my Kindle. Although, I mean, when you read manga, it's all those colorful pictures, isn't it? I mean, you say that it works on Kindle. I don't understand how it can work on Kindle when you got these colored images.
Because in Japan, when they draw the comic, it's drawn for this size of page.
Okay,
but the comics in Japan are not full size. They're like pocket sized.
Okay, but are they not drawn in color, or does that not matter?
No, they're drawn in black and white. So this screen will actually work for a manga. So
okay, I'm going to buy a manga.
Yeah. Or if you have a tablet, comics on Amazon Comics on tablet are actually really, really good. It's a really good format.
I don't have a tablet, but I will buy Uzumaki. Thanks to Literary Lab, I'm going to buy one.
Okay. I'll send you a couple others on Discord.
What do you suggest? What do you suggest from that particular author?
Tomei. Tomie. I think you would really like Tomei. Tomei is a female demon who cannot be killed.
Okay.
And when she's in her human form, she's like a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And she basically, her presence drives people mad.
Ooh,
slowly drives them mad and causes them to commit murders and just like go crazy, like slowly. And
man.
there's these sort of people who catch on to who she is, and they try to investigate. Here we go with the investigation. They try to figure out, where she comes from, how can they get rid of her? But I don't want to spoil the end for you. But there's like tons of body horror because like they'll cut off her arm, and then her arm will grow back. And if she's really badly wounded, another version of her will grow from that wound.
Wow.
It's really like, how do you come up with this stuff? So it's really good. It's just really good, and it's told in like episodes over quite a long period of time. So she has existed for a very long period of time.
Okay.
So,
Will you remind me on Discord? Will you remind me on Discord? You'll write
yes.
this down. Huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
No. So now I've got a new author to pick up.
Okay,
so
definitely.
Images. What have we got here? I've only read the first book in the Demon Slayer manga series. Plan to continue it. Which is the Demon Slayer series?
Yeah, Demon Slayer it's a manga series. It's set in, I forget when. It's sometime in like classical or ancient Japan. About these warriors that are trying to kill demons that have infected Japan, basically. So they're kind of like demon hunters, basically. So, okay. But it's very, very good.
Now you people have suddenly got me interested in manga.
Yeah, manga is great. If you like horror, manga is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I said, I never thought it would work with a Kindle. Now you're persuading me otherwise, so it's great.
Yep.
And we got a new guest here, Crystal.
Oh, cool.
Crystal.
Hello.
Fiber arts is awesome. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm trying to.
I think you had more to show me, right?
Have I got more to show you?
Mm-hmm.
I actually had those too, but I wanted to. Hang on. Trying to find something. So don't mind me. You can just carry on talking in the meantime.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna look through my. Oh, you really like horror short stories, right?
Yes, I do.
I've got a couple of collections that you might like. Have you ever read anything by Michael Wehunt? He has a story. Michael Wehunt.
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 Never heard of it.
He's got a great collection called The Inconsolables.
Okay.
Really, really good. Yeah, I'd put it on the level of like the Clive Barker Books of Blood type of stories.
Oh, wow.
Really, really good. Yep.
Okay. Now, the next month is Horror Mayhem. Okay, as well as Zombie-thon with Cat. So I'm going to be doing a bit of both. So I'm going to be reading zombie books for Cat, and I'm going to be reading Horror Mayhem. Now, the whole point is to read short stories. So I've got about 5 or 6, and they're not here, unfortunately. I've got about 5 or 6 that I'm going to do for my May TBR. I'm going to show some nice horror compilations because I've got some really good ones as well. But yeah, that's what we're reading on Horror Mayhem.
Cool.
I've got some nice zombie stuff as well. You should check out Kat's channel for that zombie announcements. A lot of fun.
Oh, okay.
Do you read zombie fiction?
I don't think I have. I've read the comic of The Walking Dead, but
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever read a zombie book before. Yeah, I haven't read a zombie book.
Now's your time to make amends.
Okay, I'll try it out. I should. I mean, I like that. That's another trope I like the sort of like plague or something that wipes out society.
There's one here. Hang on. This was a book I spoke about at the beginning of last year. World War Z.
Oh.
Max Brooks. And this is a very interesting book because it's basically telling the story of a zombie apocalypse after it's already happened and the world has been practically destroyed. And so it's just been saved. It's going all over the world taking
Mm-hmm.
kind of eyewitness reports, first-person reports.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because it looks at the way the various countries around the world reacted to the apocalypse. How prepared were they? What did America do? What did South Africa do? What did India do? Did it work? Did it work? Sometimes not so well.
Yeah.
Very clever. And at the same time, I mean, there's obviously lots and lots of zombie action, you know. But it's
Cool.
a very interesting way of telling and I highly recommend it. I absolutely love this book. So if you're going to read a zombie book, do well with this one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I know that was hugely popular. So.
Yeah. And Max Brooks is actually I don't know if he's the son or the nephew of Mel Brooks. Have you heard of Mel Brooks? Mel Brooks.
Yeah. It's like comedy great.
Yeah, the comedy great. Yeah. What did he do? What film did he do?
He did Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles, yeah. And
the most inappropriate film ever made. So. Back when they could make movies like that.
Yeah, no. Okay, let's have a look at that yet. And she says, I'm reading zombie short stories for Horror Mayhem. Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to look for them as well, Kat. I'm going to look for them.
I think I need to join. I need to join Horror Mayhem, I think. Yeah.
Well, go to Kat's channel and look from Horror Mayhem as well. Okay.
Cool.
Let's see. Really excited for Zombie Thon and Horror Mayhem. Got a few zombie short story collections too. Oh, there's an excellent one I got on Kindle. And it's called The Mammoth Book of Zombies. And in fact, it's one of my favorite collections. I don't own a physical copy, but it's got the most incredible stories in there. Oh, if you get a chance, check it out. And it's got this one story by one of my favorite authors you might like, Joe R. Lansdale. Have you ever heard of Joe R. Lansdale?
No.
He did a series called sort of a crime series, but it's almost like a crime horror comedy sort of thing. Let's see if I can find it. No, it's going to take too much time to look for it now. But just look up Joe R. Lansdale and Hap and Leonard. They're the main two characters, Hap and Leonard. And they get into all sorts of funny stuff together, and it's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that now. Yep, Hap and Leonard. I remember that now. Yep.
Yeah. So it's a long-running series, but I think you'll enjoy that. That's
one. Cool.
Let's see what we got here. The audiobook for World War Z is amazing. I recommend it.
Okay.
Now, once I start doing audiobooks, when my eyes go, they're not going to have a choice.
Okay.
Oh, and my wife says, and Spaceballs. Yeah.
And Spaceballs. That's right. Spaceballs.
We actually love that. We love that.
Yes. That not quite as inappropriate as Blazing Saddles.
I know Blazing Saddles is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty offensive now.
Okay. If anyone else is an academic horror nerd like me, I recommend Zombie Theory, a reader edited by Sarah Q. I'll look that up.
Okay.
Let's put it this way, I'm a semi-academic horror nerd.
Cool. Nothing wrong with that.
Okay. If you enjoyed comedy horror involving zombies, that's what I'm reading for Zombie-thon. That's what I'm reading for you, Kat. I've actually got Night of the Living Trekkies. Unfortunately for this video, I've made my TBR pile of all these books we're talking about in the next room. All ready for my TBR. So all the books here, I've moved over there. If I just put them here, I could have been talking to you about them.
That's all right.
Night of the Living Trekkie sounds like a lot of fun because I think it's like a Star Trek meets. What is that?
Cool.
There we go. Can't wait for Horror Mayhem.
Looks like a lot. Looks like a lot of people are doing Horror Mayhem.
Yeah, I'm getting more people to think about Zombie-thon now. It's fun. Okay, you're doing
Cool.
pretty well, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
You see the way I'm just very subtly letting other people know about other channels and stuff like that. Right?
Oh yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Yeah, it's cool.
It's a good way
It's
to
cool.
do it. Yeah.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I have a big question for you.
Okay.
Why reading? Why do you read? Why not play video games? Why not go golfing?
Well, I do play video games sometimes.
Mhm.
I do watch TV sometimes. Other nights I watch Game of Thrones, which I've seen already. It's just fun.
Mhm.
Reading is another activity that is more relaxing than all of those, as far as I'm concerned. And that when you get into a good book that is just more immersive, that sucks you into a good story, that watching a movie, playing a game, I can never do. And people that don't read will not understand that. People that don't read will think, oh, why are you bothering to read a book? It's just pages. Come play a video game. We've got surround sound, we've got everything. You know, watch a movie. But when you get into a good book, a really good book, that ends up to be a 5-star book, you think about those characters, you think about the world, long after you turn the final page. That's why I'm reading. That's why I'm reading. And true, sometimes you can read a book and it's pretty crap, to be honest. But I still try to finish every book because I find some value in them. But that's why I like reading. You know, and yes, you go through stages where you don't want to read, then I'll play a game. I've got some old school video games that I like to play. When I was younger, I used to love things like Diablo 2, all that.
Oh yeah.
Love those. I love those dungeon crawlers.
Yeah.
Slash kind of thing. Which is fun, but it's kind of mindless. But it's fun. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the most immersed I've ever got in a video game is when I played. And now this is really old school. I'm old school. I don't play new games, but like Skyrim. When I really got into Skyrim, I think I clocked like I don't know how many hours. Plenty hours. So it was fun, but reading is a different kind of thing. Don't you agree? It's a different thing. You get deeply immersed in a story, more so because you need to use your imagination. Right? You need to use your imagination in order to get lost in the story. And it's not painted out for you. It's not just colored out there for you. And that makes it very potent. You picture the characters using your imagination and the world building. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I think we got. What happened? There we go. We're back. Okay.
Oh, we're back. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, no, it's cool. I was just curious. That's something I think about a lot. Like why read? And some people have asked me, like, I don't tell lots of people I have a YouTube channel about books, you know, but so I've told a few people, and some people are like, why do you read so many books? Why don't you play games or watch movies or, you know? And I just similar answer, like I want to be immersed, and there's just like there's a sort of intellectual and emotional combination to reading that for myself I can't get from any other form of entertainment.
And to be honest, it's relaxing. It's relaxing. It's
definitely
on a psychological and emotional level. It just puts you in a space where you can just feel calm and kind of inner peace. So it is weird, but there's nothing wrong with watching movies from time to time.
No,
playing a game and doing something different. So, you know, that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, cool. I think some people have written a few responses to that.
Yeah, I'm going to try and Barry's Red said zombie time. There's actually a thing worldwide called Zombie Awareness Month in May. So Kat has actually been appreciating Zombie Awareness Month for many years. And last year, she started a readathon. It was awesome. I did it with her, and she's all out this month.
I didn't know.
Please check it out. I do have a few zombie comics. That's a great question. Let's all answer that question. Why are we reading the comments? Yeah, that is a very good question. Because you put me on the spot there. I could have probably
Sorry about that. Sorry.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
I warned you. It's a big question. It's a big question.
It's a good question, yeah.
Let's see what people had to say about that.
ZombieCon is very flexible. Zombies are not so flexible, Pat. Don't try and break their arm. Don't try and twist their arm, they'll break off.
It comes right off. Yep.
Yeah. I read because it's very entertaining. I love being in the world full of different things. Yeah.
Cool.
Like you're reading a book like a huge fantasy epic, and that it is so full of interesting and amazing ideas that to try and make a movie about it, you just cannot get everything on the screen.
Yeah.
It requires your imagination. It requires your interpretation. And that's a big thing, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that to be really true of science fiction.
Yeah.
That there's so much more in the books and in the novels than can ever be depicted on screen. So.
Yeah, this is a good answer. I read for the escapism element, and I love to get into the minds of other people.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, you actually live those characters. You get into their minds. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, like a great book will stick with you and will always be in your mind somewhere. So that's a good answer.
And great characters. You don't forget them.
Definitely.
Okay, thanks, Bad. Hey, you've started something, yeah?
That's just something I think about because I just finished. I read All Along the Western Front recently. Have you? Or I'm sorry, All Quiet on the Western Front.
I saw your video. I'm behind on video watching. I must watch it because I'm obsessed with war. I'm obsessed with war, so I actually want to watch that.
That book just
when you subscribe to like 200, 400 channels to watch, you can't watch every video.
that's okay. You can't watch everything. That book just blew me away, and the writing in that book is so good, so powerful. You've got to read that book, Cliff. And it's a pretty short book. It's, I think, less than 250 pages.
I will look it up.
So, yeah,
reading
it's
is
so
a way
good.
to learn. Yeah, learn and be entertained. It's also a comforting activity for me. I love it. Other activities for reading is my favorite. And you can do it anywhere. That's another good point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great response.
Lots of love going between the audience.
All right, cool. Awesome.
That was awesome. I really enjoyed that. You're going to have to go on Discord and you're going to have to write all these things for me so that I can remember.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've got a lot of other suggestions for you. I have one other book. I'm curious if you've read. Have you read Wounds and Other Stories from the Edges of Hell?
No.
You should read this.
It's quite a modern book.
Yeah, maybe within the last 10 years.
Okay.
I'm scrolling through my.
You're gonna have to write on Discord. Give me these recommendations. Yeah. I'll look them up on my Kindle.
Yeah, but that's really good. The title story is the guy who works in a bar in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And there's a fight, and someone drops a cell phone, and he picks it up, takes it home, and his intention is to bring it back to the bar the next night. And he checks one of the messages, and it's this like horrific, like plea for help. And he's like, oh, what is this? I've got to do something about this. And then he starts to read all the other messages, and someone is messaging him on that phone. It's not his phone. And then there's like these pictures of like torture and this like satanic ritual and all this like weird from there. That's in like the first 4 or 5 pages. And then this like really weird chain of events transpires after that. It's really, really good. I think it's Chuck Wendig wrote that.
Okay. There's a book I read very recently. And I think it's the same author who did a book called Her Body and Other Parties.
Oh yeah.
No, but it's a I think it's a trans
Maria.
author. No, I can't remember now. But I actually spoke about it. If any of you guys can remember, there's a lot of body horror, but it's short stories. It's just beautiful. It's a 5-star read, I think, for me. I can't remember it now. I'll have to tell you. Yeah.
I have that. I have Her Body and Other Stories, but I haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
Her Body and Other Parties. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I haven't read that one, but I think it's the same author. One of the greatest and most expensive. Many books.
Very true.
We are adding to
Very
our
true.
TBR.
Yes, I know. It's like the pile just grows and grows.
It doesn't stop there. Yeah. One of my favorites. Carmen.
That's it.
Maria. Yep. Oh no, that's not the author I'm thinking of though. This one I'm thinking of is very weird fiction. Very weird. But wonderful. Really, really good fiction. I just can't remember. Gonna have to let you know later. And it's a collection of short stories. And it's just this weird body horror, but it's kind of very sexual and weird way. Man, I can't remember. I'll just have to let you know. I should have come prepared with more.
Oh, that's okay. No, that's all right. But I think it's really interesting how like horror writing in a lot of ways is right now, I think probably the most interesting genre writing that's happening. So. I mean, I love crime fiction, but it's kind of a dead genre. It's not really a lot of new stuff happening with crime, but with horror, there's like always like new things happening. Like you just said, like there's like a lot of body horror, but there can also be like gender identity, sexual identity, all these other things can come into it. I think it's, or there can be psychological elements. Yeah, I think horror can be really interesting.
Yeah. I think with crime, you can make it very interesting as well. I mean, these books, I don't know whether you would call these books horror or crime, to be honest. Lots of heads getting cut off.
I think you just want to keep showing that cover.
It reads like a crime novel. It reads like a crime novel, but it's horror, and it brings in supernatural aspects to make it interesting.
Oh,
always the subject, always the plot threads is always little intricate. It's just very interesting. I think you'll love it. Michael Slade.
Well, that's a great name, Michael Slade. I don't think anyone was born. Clearly, no one was born with that name. That's like.
Yeah, well, it's 3 authors. It's 3 lawyers from Canada.
Yeah. So you're either going to be like a great heavy metal guitar player or a horror author. One of Michael Slade. So.
Memoir Into the Dream House is in the Dream House. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that was a memoir. Okay.
Here's my TBR. Where's Brian? He likes such great books. Thanks, Vanessa. I just subscribed to channel, Vanessa. Channel name.
Cool.
There's a lot of love going on here, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's cool. It's good. It's a good time.
Okay. Yeah. I think we're going to have to do this again sometime.
I would love to. Yeah.
You're going to have to host me. I
don't know. Maybe, yeah. Maybe I need to do a live stream.
I think so. Nothing wrong with that. Doesn't have I'm not saying next week or anything. I'm just saying in future we'll to do this again with excellent.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely be great. I'd love to hear, like, as you get into Ed McBain, I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on crime writing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, look, we actually inherited all of these when we moved to this house. I've got about 40.
Holy cow!
Yeah, of the 87th precinct. So
wow.
I'm gonna do a little video one day to show off my Ed McBain collection. Look, I've read about 6 of them. It's kind of hit and miss. Most of them have been like 4 stars. I enjoy him, but I'm not like completely obsessed over him. But yeah, he's still very fun. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, cool. Cool.
But you
Could
said
you
read-
could you show that cover? That Ed McBain cover? Interesting. Some of those might be collectible.
Oh, I've got old copies of his books.
Yeah, I think some of
Most
those
of the
might
books,
be
most of the ones that I've got are like, I think, what's it, Pan or Penguin? Or, I'm not sure. I've got some very old copies of these books.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Pull out a few more.
Cool. But I don't think I've never seen those covers before.
Yeah.
Unless it's like unless it was a different run for
Yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe it was a different.
the South African region or something.
Maybe.
MT hours. Interesting.
I think we get most of our books from the UK.
From UK. Okay.
A lot of the editions are UK editions. Of books that we get.
Oh, that's cool.
Hell to the chief.
Interesting. Yeah, those. I wonder if those are first runs.
Maybe they are.
Cool.
Got a bit of a collection.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, let's just see some last comments here. Michael Slade. Oh, sorry.
From The Office.
I have to multitask here with the comments and stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Slade reminds me of Michael's character in The Office. Michael Sciarra. Yeah, I don't watch The Office, Cat, sorry.
Oh, okay.
This was great, Cliff and Cole. Nice to meet you, Cole. I'll have to check out your channel. Yes. Kat.
Cool. I'll check yours out too, Kat.
Yes, I'm checking out your channel too, Cole. So much love
Awesome.
in the room.
Yeah, this is cool. This is a lot of fun. So.
Yeah. You have to host your own one.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that.
So we're going to say goodbye.
Okay.
But hang
All
around
right.
with me afterwards.
Sure.
When we go, just hang around with me.
Okay.
Yeah. But everyone, thank you so much for joining us. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, check out Cole's channel. It's awesome. You'll definitely
All right,
find
cool.
something you like there. So
Cool.
in 5, 4. The problem with this thing is you don't know where the hand is. 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.